Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got another ranking video for you guys in the fantasy world. We've got your redraft quarterback rankings. Now, obviously, there's a dynasty aspect, there's best ball, there's all kinds of different ways of doing fantasy, but the most traditional way has been redraft, meaning you select a new team every year. So with that said, this is our quarterback rankings for this season so far. Again, things may have changed, obviously, when we get closer to August. And obviously the preseason, but right now this is where I believe these guys are going to be ranked as of now. With that said, make sure you guys check out our other videos. If you guys are in Dynasty, check out our quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end rankings. That would, again, help you guys out with your fantasy. So let's jump right in this. So the first guy I've got is, we're going to count this backwards, is Mac Jones. Look, Mac Jones obviously has not had a huge selection of improvement at wide receiver. He did get Devontae Parker this offseason, which I think does help. He does have a good receiver in Jacoby Myers. I like, obviously, Kendrick Bourne a lot. Another good aspect. There is obviously a lot of concern with the fact that nobody knows the offensive coordinator and how that's going to be this year. Mac Jones has a lot of potential, and I think he can creep into that top 20 spot. I think, again, the addition of Devontae Parker helps. They've got a plethora of running backs that are going to obviously help. I think in the second year is going to only improve. Again, new offense will make some adjustments, but I do like Mac Jones at number 20. Number 19, I have Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, I almost put a little bit higher. I think a lot of people sleep on the fact that, obviously he struggles with interceptions, and we understand that. But if you look at the season that he had with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before he went to, obviously, the New Orleans, he was on fire. He's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. He does obviously make mistakes with the deep ball, but the only downside that I have compared to obviously what he had in Tampa is he had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He had a great wide receiver core there. In New Orleans, obviously you've got a newcomer in, Chris Olave. You've got Michael Thomas, Callaway. So the options aren't as, I would say, consistent, like he had in Tampa, but what I still like about him is he's coming back. He looks hungry from his obviously off-season surgery not off-season, but surgery he had last season. And the fact that I think he has a lot to prove. And I think he's still one of those guys, those gunslingers that will get you fantasy points. He's going to give you headaches, but he'll get you fantasy points. Number 18, this is kind of a wild card here with Trey Lance because nobody knows exactly how Trey Lance is going to be for a full season, but he's got weapons, and that's going to help him a lot. He's got a great offensive coordinator / head coach in Shanahan. He's got Kittle, Ayuk, right? You got Deebo Samuel. Maybe we'll see how that goes, obviously, up until September. But you still have some good weapons. Trey Lance has the ability to run if need be. Now, of course, this may change if Jimmy G's still there and they actually give it to him. But I think Trey Lance is really going to be the guy, and Jimmy G's just there. Matt Ryan, I've got number 17. Again, great quarterback. He's always been a top 20 fantasy quarterback. He's always gone up and down. The only downside that I have with him is just the fact that, again, receiver core. You've got Pittman, who I love. I think he's a great asset. Pierce, we're not really sure how Alec Pierce is going to be. That's really it. And I think they are going to run the ball a little bit more. I think they're going to use, obviously, Hines a little bit more with Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is obviously the best back into this upcoming season. So, again, where I think Matt Ryan will succeed is the fact that he's going to have less interceptions. I have probably 3,800 yards, and he'll definitely get you about 20 touchdowns, if not a little bit more. But I do like Matt Ryan this year. Number 16, I've got Carson Wentz. Again, weapon-wise, he's got Terry McLaurin. He was a top 15 quarterback last year in fantasy. Carson Wentz actually does do a pretty good job of getting you fantasy points. I'm not saying he's a good quarterback in real life, but as far as fantasy goes, he does get you those touchdowns, those yards. And again, I like McLaurin. Obviously, with McLaurin, re-signing and getting that long extension helps give him re-energized. And then, of course, Dotson is another one. Curtis Samuel, a lot of people forget about. Logan Thomas, if he stays healthy at the tight end position. You got Gibson. You got McKissick. I mean, there's a lot of weapons for the Washington Commanders. So I like Carson Wentz, and I think he'll still be in the top 15 to 16 range. We got number 15, Tua. Tua may creep into the top 10. And it all depends on how he really performs. Obviously, he is in the driver's seat to have a top 10 performance in this upcoming season. Like I said, I rank him a little bit higher in the dynasty world if he can obviously prove it this year. You've got Tyreek Hill, who's going to obviously benefit for Tua. You've got Waddle still. You got Gesicki. I just love what they've got and what they've done for him. Again, he still can run the ball if he needs to. Again, rushing quarterbacks will always tend to be a little bit higher ranked when it comes to your standard quarterback. And obviously we'll talk about that. I've got Aaron Rodgers at 14, and he'll probably kill me. Everyone's going to bash me on this one in the comments. I understand that, but hear me out. When you look at the rest of this list, the reason why I have Aaron Rodgers is just, again, the weapons. It's not that he can't do it, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't have quite the weapons he used to have. He doesn't have that wide receiver one. Obviously, you hope Christian Watson is good, especially for those dynasty teams. You got obviously Mark. Yeah, I just don't believe the weapons are just going to be enough for him. I don't think Tunyon's going to be enough for him. Obviously, the running backs are going to be really good in this offense with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I think those guys. Lazard, I just don't believe in quite. Yeah, again, he's a wide receiver too. It does worry me with Aaron Rodgers. But one thing I will give credit to Aaron Rodgers, and which is why he still might end up being a top 10 quarterback, I just don't have him there, is the fact that he's a very efficient quarterback. He knows how to throw the ball. He knows when to throw the ball. He's very smart. He knows when to scramble if he needs to, and again, extend the play. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's a top quarterback in this league. He's a top quarterback in NFL history. I get that, but the weapons do worry me. I do want to see more in this offseason of mini camps and training camps and all that fun stuff. I want to see how the receivers improve and what that looks like. Then I'll probably move Aaron Rodgers up. But it's hard to move him up when you look at the rest of this list. You've got Kirk Cousins, who I do believe is going to have a better year as far as fantasy goes compared to Aaron Rodgers. You've got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, you got Dalvin Cook, right? You got Madison back there. They've got great weapons. I love Irv Smith. He's one of my tight end sleepers. Kirk Cousins is a great fantasy quarterback. He's always in the top 12 to 13 range, and I'm going to keep him there. He might even be 11 or 10, but I like him in this range. You got Derek Carr, number 12. Derek Carr will have a better fantasy season, should have a better fantasy season than Aaron Rodgers. Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and of course, Devontae Adams there. Then you got a great running back in the draft as far as Zamir White, who's going to add some options there. You got obviously Josh Jacobs. There's just so many weapons for these quarterbacks that I'm going to have got here. And then, of course, number 11, Joe Burrow. I know a lot of people are going to give me hate on this one, but Joe Burrow wasn't actually great until the last 5 or 6 games of the NFL season last year. So now if he continues what he did at the end of last season into this season, then yeah, he is a top 8 fantasy quarterback. I have him at 11 just because I want to see a little bit more. He's obviously got great weapons in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then Tyler Boyd with Joe Mixon back there still. He's got the weapons. New offensive line, which hopefully improves and helps him out because obviously sacks and fantasy can affect you. So I have Joe Burrow at 11. Again, these are kind of a little early, but I do have him at 11. Now, into the top 10, I've got Russell Wilson at number 10. New offense, new weapons in Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, right? You've got those options there. I do like, obviously, Javonte Williams behind him, Melvin Gordon behind him. So there are some good weapons. You've got KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. There's a lot of options for Russell Wilson, and I think he'll be in that top 10 range. I think I have him at 10 because, again, some of these other quarterbacks are going to have that rushing capability that Russell Wilson once had or used to use, and that's why I keep him up. Because number 9, I've got Lamar. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the weapons, right? You got Rashad Bateman, DuVernay, obviously Mark Andrews, right? You got your running backs back this year as long as they are back the way they used to be. You got J.K. Dobbins, you got Gus Edwards, so they are healthier. But the fact that Lamar Jackson right now is dealing with the contract situation, contract is keeping him away from the team because he wants to obviously sign a long-term deal. But Lamar Jackson is a running back / quarterback. And what I mean by that is obviously he's going to get you great fantasy points in the quarterback side with his passing yards. He does do a pretty good job of that. He does decent amount of touchdowns, but his rushing capability is what makes him a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Number 8, I've got Jalen Hurts. Again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that he can run. He's going to be one of those guys who's going to be a pain in the butt. He will run and get you a lot of rushing touchdowns, a lot of rushing yards, which will help. And of course, adding A.J. Brown to the outside opposite of Devontae Smith helps. Dallas Goedert down the middle. You got Miles Sanders. You've got Gainwell. You've got a lot of weapons for Jalen Hurts. That is why he's one of those guys that I think he can be a top 2 to 3 in fantasy because of his athleticism and the ability to run the ball. If he does do any slight of improvement as far as his passing game goes, he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Have him at 8. We'd like to see that. Number 7, I got Dak Prescott. Losing Amari Cooper does hurt him. That does worry me. He looks really good and healthy this season so far. He looks really athletic. I think they've already talked about using him a little bit more to run which is great. I know obviously last year they were kind of hesitant with the leg injury and him getting his confidence back. You still have CeeDee Lamb, who obviously is a good receiver. I still like to see more of him. You got Dalton Schultz, who's going to be a top 5 tight end this season in redraft. So that's a great option. Then you still got Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, who's going to be used a lot. Jalen Tolbert, who they picked up in the draft, who's going to be the number 2 wide receiver as of right now. Obviously with Gallup, and then when Gallup comes back, again, another option. So I like Dak Prescott at number 7. Number 6, I have Patrick Mahomes. Again, kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes, the only reason I'm giving him a little bit of a ding is the fact that his weapons, right? You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's got a good relationship so far with him. You've got Travis Kelce, who obviously is the number 1 tight end in redraft, and obviously we'll talk about that in another ranking. So you still have that. You've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's back there. You got Ronald Jones, another option for, the backfield. But as far as receivers, Sky Moore, we haven't seen yet, right? He's a rookie. We don't know that's going to be like. Juju, I do like. I think Juju is going to creep in. He may surprise you as far as a fantasy aspect goes. But Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. He can run, he can extend the play, and he's got that killer arm. So I still have him number 6. Number 5, got Tom Brady. Maybe this will be the last year we talk about Tom Brady in fantasy, but Tom Brady obviously got Mike Evans, right? Chris Godwin may possibly be there week 1. Obviously, he's got his injury to deal with, so we'll see how that goes, right? He did obviously lose his favorite target in the red zone in Gronk, but I think you'll still have a good option in Bray, and obviously they're rookie tight end on, but you got Leonard Fournette who's going to help, and Tom Brady is obviously again one of the smarter quarterbacks in this league that isn't going to just throw interceptions. He's going to be smart, and he's going to get you 25 to 30 touchdowns. That's just what he does. Number 4, I got Kyler Murray. As long as he stays healthy, he is a top 5, obviously, quarterback. You got Hollywood Brown there. Yes, he doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins for the first half of the season or so, but once he comes back, that's going to help. I think Hollywood Brown actually helps again. They played in college together, so I think that helps a lot. Then again, his health is going to be the big key. He's just like a Lamar Jackson where he can run and hurt you on the ground and give you those fantasy points, which will help him obviously be in the top 5 rankings. Number 3, I got Justin Herbert, who is just a beast. I wanted to put him at number 2, but I'll explain why I have number 2 where they are. But Justin Herbert obviously has got a great offense in that Chargers team. You've got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, right? Then you've got obviously Austin Eckler. They've got Isaiah Spiller who came in there, which I think is a great option, especially to keep that Eckler type feel going on. And of course, he's one of our best young quarterbacks in this league. He can easily start to creep into the number 1 spot going forward. Number 2, I've got Matthew Stafford. Look, Matthew Stafford I have above Justin Herbert just because of his, I would say the offense is a little bit better when it comes to what Sean McVay can do. I think also the fact that obviously Matthew Stafford has pretty much seen every type of defense available, which I think helps him out a lot. Then you get Allen Robinson, who I think was a better option than Robert Woods. And I think Allen Robinson wants to prove that he is still a good wide receiver into this league. Then you still have got the number 1 receiver in Cooper Kupp, right? You've got Higbee. Then you're getting Cam Akers back. There's just a lot of good stuff going on that I think Matthew Stafford still stays in that top 5 range. I put him at number 2. And then, of course, number 1, who is Josh Allen. He has been obviously up in that top range. That rushing capability of what he can do, plus his gunslinger mentality, he is the number 1 redraft quarterback. And honestly, I had him at number 1 in Dynasty. He is absolutely a beast in the fantasy world and, of course, the real life. And I think with, again, his rushing capability, he is a red zone threat every time, whether it be throwing the ball or rushing. You got Stephon Diggs. I love Gabriel Davis in this offense. You've got Dawson Knox. Again, they picked up James Cook, who's a great receiving running back in the draft. There's just so many weapons for Josh Allen. And I think their schedule just really helps them out a lot. So those are my top 20 redraft quarterbacks in their ranking so far. Again, if you guys have not and you guys are in the Dynasty world, make sure you check out our Dynasty videos as well. Check out those rankings to help you guys out. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and that notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video. If you guys did enjoy the content, hit the like button. It is greatly appreciated. We'll be dropping our running back, wide receiver, and tight end for redraft as well. And then stay tuned. We'll be doing some mock drafts to help you guys out depending on where you are in your draft position. So again, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll check you guys out next time.